Hi, welcome to If I Did It, a show where we analyze and solve PR kerfuffles from the world of MMA and beyond. I'm your host, Alexi Auld, and joining us as always is Kid Nate of Bloody Elbow and Eugene S. Robinson from Aussie.com and author of Fight Everything You Ever Want to Know About Ass Kicking, but we're afraid you get your ass kicked for asking.
Nice.
That's right. After technical difficulties,
Yeah, you're first up at the If I Did It. If I have a shitty computer network, what do I do?
Exactly. You know, it might be a conspiracy, man. And that's why we're leading right into Eugene,
Yes.
you're the UFC.
Yep.
CM Punk has gone above and beyond when it comes to promoting the UFC, your company, and his transition to MMA fighting, including media appearances, training at Rufus Sport, and being the subject of a looking for a fight storyline. Only problem? Injuries are preventing his debut. With cynicism growing, is it better for your brand to delay his debut for as long as possible in case the experiment fails?
The experiment's gonna fail. You know, I don't think it's designed to succeed necessarily. It's like, I mean, what we're paying for, attention. We want attention. You know, I'm sorry, what are you looking for? Oh, okay. So we're paying for attention, and we're getting attention. You know, does anybody really expect this guy coming out the box to be a Brock Lesnar or even a Bobby Lashley or a Kurt Angle? I mean, who was this guy before? Who is he now? What do you expect in the long term except some sort of growth delta from pro wrestling fans to MMA fans, of which what? He said, well, if I could put some money into some, maybe get a 3% conversion rate, that'll be good. With this guy, maybe I'll get 5%. I mean, come on. Does anybody who knows anything about anything, including life, have expectations for this guy that exceed him just being an interesting PR line?
Nate?
Well, I think they've already won what they wanted with CM Punk, which was to keep him out of Bellator. Friday we got Bellator on Spike. We got Hoist Gracie versus Ken Shamrock. We got Kimbo Slice versus Dada 9000 or whatever.
Dada 5000, right?
Yeah, if they had CM Punk on the menu as well, that would be a notably bigger show. And there'd be a whole circus, and maybe
there would be a notably bigger show amongst the moron contingent.
Yes, and which is a good contingent. That's a huge thing. Did we lose Alexi again?
No, I see him.
He's
frozen, but I see him.
Ghoulish smile. Well, we just got to keep talking. That's all we can do. But yeah, I mean that was the play, and that's the play they made. Here he comes back. All right. Alexi, you back?
So the issue is, we're not. If you're really expecting, I don't care how much time he spends at Rufus Sport. If you're really expecting him to do amazing things in the cage, you got. I mean, from his point of view, it's great. Somebody cares about what a 40-year-old man is doing. Great. But about a 40-year-old athlete, somebody cares. Good for him. But in reality, I don't think. I mean, it's I stop for if there's a fist fight by the juniper bushes at the 7-Eleven. I'll stop for a few seconds and look, and then I go about, buying a Slurpee, and then I'm on my way. I'll stop for CM Punk, but I'm not paying for this. I'm not really caring about this, but I'm not a pro wrestling fan anymore, so,
I think the people
the thing I kind of
cared about in WWE are going to be interested. He was a very interesting pro wrestler, I never figured out.
So? What qualifies interesting?
He was like consistently the number 2 draw. And
based on what?
Based on ratings and live gates.
But I mean those ratings were based on what? How well he wielded a folding chair.
He was one of the few guys who was able to buck the WWE system in this current regime and overcome the tightly scripted soap opera plots and get a real personality across. The whole atheist straight edge guy was pretty unique, and he was bringing sort of a pretty dated third wave version of hardcore punk aesthetics into the mass culture with his WWE persona, and that seemed to have clicked. And that's fundamentally what hardcore punk was about, was authenticity, and he seems to have brought that. Alexi, what is going on over here? We've got 3
flash knuckle. We have in our area we had snowstorms last night and power outages briefly on and off, but the internet connections have been fine. I mean, everything else is fine internet-wise. It's really just Google keeps on giving me these weird error messages.
Huh. I interviewed this woman once, and She was Joanna Angel, this porn star woman. And the only reason I interviewed her was because she was supposed to have some like hardcore punk bona fides. I was like, cool, somebody from my neck of the woods who's doing porn. They're going to have a decidedly different take on it. So I was super excited.
When was it?
Huh?
When was this? How long ago?
That's 5 years ago, 6 years ago. And so I interviewed her on Knuckle Up back when it was on the Combat Music Radio, and she I'm like, cool. And so then we get into the music section of the interview, and I'm like, yeah, so what do you she didn't know anything,
And not even new Jack stuff, just
yeah, she like Blink 182.
Well,
So
that's not exactly a deep dive.
I mean, when I see Josh Barnett in the mosh pit, I was like, all right, this guy knows a little. He's at a Behemoth show in the mosh pit. I mean, Polish heavy metal. Come on, this is a guy who's legitimately invested in.
How were his moshing skills? Was he terrorizing the whole pit?
He was actually using what I would have called the San Francisco strut circa 1982. He was pretty upright, versus the New York Hulk, or the flea picker, if you remember that one.
I see. Alexi, next question.
Yes.
What we got you?
You're Peyton Manning. You just won the Super Bowl, but instead of Disney World, you're going to PR hell. On the eve of Valentine's Day, the New York Daily News broke your heart by resurrecting the story with some highlights of you and your father, Archie, as lowlifes, including a smear campaign against a student trainer who claims you sexually assaulted her. The ghostwriter of your book testifying that your father told him the victim was, quote, unattractive, end quote, and had, quote, been out with a bunch of black guys, end quote, and the university cover-up request that the victim blamed the incident not on you but on another athlete, quote, a black one, end quote.
Fiendish plotting from the University of Tennessee sporting official to say, I mean, when has that not worked?
Okay, so we lost Alexi again, but I guess why don't you lead off with a response to it, since you're like this is in your neck of the woods, Tennessee.
Well, the accounts of the incident were pretty ghastly. Like, she was apparently bending down looking at an injury, and he's got a towel on, and he pops up and teabags her on the head. He claims he was mooning a teammate.
A black teammate.
Mooning a black teammate, and why he wants to show his ass to a black teammate, we'll have to get into on another episode. But so she ends up with the teabag on her face and was rightfully pretty appalled, especially after he had just been asking her out, sort of roundabout way. So it was your classic, entitled jock dude hits on a chick, doesn't get what he wants, acts out, hearts are broken, suits are filed. It's
because before that, also quickly, like, they claimed she was a lesbian. Like she was
all that
suffering.
means is she didn't go out with anybody on the team.
Yeah, so that's except for the black guys. So it's like they're throwing the old Racehorse Haynes defense attorney strategy at you. My client's dog didn't bite you. My client's dog was tied up. My client's dog wasn't at home, he was at the vet's, and my client doesn't even have a dog.
Right. And my favorite part about this, I remember when I had my appendix out, and I come to in the hospital bed, and there's like this hot nurse like bending over me, and I was like thinking, yeah, now's my chance. And but then I was in such great pain, I realized, all she's got to do is drop an elbow on this incision wound, and I'm screaming like a baby. Thank you, nurse. That's it. I'm not a hale and healthy guy sitting on a table. But I mean, what's there to say at this point? The guy was just about to scoot off into retirement. He got the cherry. Top of the career, looking at a post career as an analyst, maybe. Is this gonna hurt him? Whatever. Pay somebody. Shut the fuck up. Move ahead. I mean. He could pull the George Bush stuff. I'm not gonna answer about youthful indiscretion, but at this point, just pay the woman.
The thing is, apparently she has a settlement.
Nobody's bringing this just because they got nothing better to do.
Right. They had a settlement, and the weird thing, because of the fact that he brought all this crap up again in his autobiography. Like, this thing happened, they moved on, and he was still allegedly harassing her. Like, he even sent her in the mail, like or someone sent her in the mail, the draft of his book, which had the incident there, to an old like defamatory nickname they gave her when she was working there. So it's this
Hold on.
weird pattern.
They didn't send the book to her. They didn't send the book to her to torment her. In journalism, we have this rule called the no surprise rule, and it's like if you're going to interview somebody, you're going to quote somebody, even if Kid Nate said some shit to me on the record 8 years ago, if I'm remembering it enough to quote it, it is still the pro forma thing to do that I go to Nate and say, hey, by the way, remember when we were talking about the Nazi menace, and you said that I'm going to quote you on that, And Kid Nate could go, you absolutely cannot quote me on what I said on the Nazi menace, in which case I said, well, you said it, I'm going to quote you, the battle lines are drawn, but the pro forma thing to do is to pre-notify of your intent to quote somebody so they're not sitting around surprised.
So you're thinking that he sent the book as a way to do that?
Yeah, a clearance, and I guarantee you they probably sent the book certified mail or somehow to be able to.
We don't know if he sent the book or somebody else sent the book. We don't know.
I imagine whoever published it, their legal department sent it to her.
Well, generally, legal departments like to reach out before the publication happens.
I thought they sent to Galley.
No, apparently it was a copy of the published book after the fact.
That was stupid. That was fucking stupid.
I think Peyton's problem is the people who need to make this right are the University of Tennessee, and it's somewhat out of his hands. But I think he's got an enormous amount of leverage still, being a famous superstar, Super Bowl winning quarterback, to say, hey, we all made some mistakes. We acted like assholes. Let's make this right. Pay the lady. Yep. Apologize. Yep. Change the way the system works. Because it's revealed this whole nasty practice at the University of Tennessee where that a basketball player was accused of rape, and there's school officials apparently documented as postponing the investigation until after the season is over and then arranging for him to transfer to another school. And
you know what he needs to do? He needs to say, I'm no Ben Roethlisberger.
Yes. Well, what's the distinction exactly?
Well, Ben Roethlisberger was dragging drunken co-eds into bathroom stalls and allegedly screwing them. He just teabagged somebody.
I said just harmless hijinks. That's all.
Harmless scrotums on the forehead. I mean, this happens here at Sorrel Academy every day.
I would think so, but through cups and gis and shorts.
Right.
Speaking about scrotums.
Could have happened to a better guy.
Speaking about scrotums.
Yes.
Oh, and we lost him. He brings up scrotums and he leaves. I'd say that's a party foul.
I brought up scrotums. Oh well, yeah. He the general topic. He said teabagging. I put a finer point on it.
Yes. I don't know. What do you think about this sort of locker room hijinks though? Because forever, as long as we've had locker rooms and dudes, this is how jockos have behaved in locker rooms. I mean.
Yeah, it's always this borderline kind of homoerotic stuff, and I've never partaken in it. The biggest thing that I was involved in the locker room were fist fights, so which was also kind of sketchy. I was fist fighting naked dudes, fist fighting other naked dudes.
Yeah, I've always seen the two locker room fist fights I saw. The deciding factor was the guy who held onto his towel with one hand took a beating.
Yeah, you got to be willing. I got into a fight with a roommate over the phone. Right after I got in the shower. He was like third in the state Virginia wrestling. So we just fucking went at it, and I didn't give a shit about the towel. I factored that in, actually, that the fact that I was completely nude, he would be squeamish by, and I would get the drop on him, but it didn't work that way. He got me with a smother, but that was when I created MMA. I was so invigorated by the fight that I said, okay, I'll teach you stand-up, and you teach me some wrestling so we could, and he demurred, but that was when I had this idea. We'll have a martial art that crosses all over the martial arts. It'll be one martial art to rule them all.
This was brilliant, Eugene.
That was 1983, baby.
And look what you did with it. You took it right to the top.
Well, I had to go on to create Yahoo, and then that fucked up.
I see. Do we have Alexi? No, we don't have Alexi. I could actually probably read the next show thing if I. Take the porn off my computer and pull up Alexi's show outline.
Well, he's joined again. Yeah, talk. Say quick.
Talk quick. Next question.
Will Brooks, not getting any love from Bellator. How can he prevent himself from being the next Ben Askren when he becomes a free agent?
And what does this have to do with scrotums?
Well, if people believe that he's acting like one,
I see.
and his boss is saying
somebody
he's going to yap.
somebody on Twitter sent us that link to the Askren singing the song, and I just couldn't bring myself to watch it. I get like the Askren thing. If you want to talk about a guy who needs 24-hour, 7-day-a-week PR triage, that's the guy. Singing Adele songs, man, that's not going to get you anywhere. What do you think?
So if you're Will Brooks, then what do you do to prevent yourself from falling into the same fate? How do you become the right Ben Henderson in free agency versus Ben Askren?
Why don't you ask Nate that? I got nothing.
I think Will has dug himself a deep hole.
That's what I'm thinking, man.
I don't know if you can pull out of it, because he's done the Cyborg mistake of misreading how much leverage he has. Like, you either make these guys a lot of extra money, in which case you have a lot of extra leverage, or you don't, in which case you're a cog in the machine, in which case show up for work on time, fulfill your contract, say the things you need to say, do your PR opportunities, be a good team player, and then when your contract is up, then you can shop yourself to the UFC and win fights. Most important, win fights. But ducking fights, dropping fights, talking shit, biting the hand that feeds. This is, especially for a guy like Will Brooks, sure, he's won some fights and he's beaten some tough guys. I mean, the guy is an arch badass, but does anybody care? No. No. He's a tangential player in a pretty minor Bellator feud between Eddie Alvarez and Michael Chandler, in which case his role was spoiler. I mean, it's like he's the Ernie Shavers of Bellator this year, and it's like Ernie Shavers didn't hold the boxing world hostage. He fought Muhammad Ali when they called him. He fought Larry Holmes when they called him. He got the call. He took the fight. I don't think he fought Muhammad Ali, actually, but he fought Larry Holmes. He just took his fights. He did his job. He shut up. That's what Will Brooks needs to do. Son, you have misread the situation. You don't have leverage. Stop it.
I was on a beach front in Arizona once, and these kids are looking at me and follow me around the pool. And finally, they came up to me and they said, "Our mother thinks that you're Ernie Shavers. Are you Ernie Shavers?" And I was like, "Oh, no, kids. Where's your mother?" That's her over there. I said, "Let's go talk to mom, but I'll tell her that I'm not Ernie Shavers." I'm Facebook guy, baby. But this is 1983, well before Facebook. But no, I have to say that there was this semi-female celebrity, and she was threatening me, angry with me about something or other. And I was telling a friend, and I was upset about it. I was like, man, she told me she's going to stab my eyes out and blah, 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 blah. And then in the middle of it, he just interrupted me, and he goes, "I'm sorry, who is she again?" So that's my Will Brooks take.
I see. Yes, that is Scott Coker's. If Scott Coker were a shittier guy, that's what he would do. Alexi, quick, next question before we lose you.
Eliot Spitzer. A woman is found in a hotel room. There's a fight that happened. She was choked. She claimed you did it. You visit her in the hospital. You claimed under an alias George, and claimed that you know this woman, but she's not your girlfriend. Police are investigating. She flees to Russia. What do you do, Eugene, a.k.a. Eliot?
And retracted. She retracted, too.
Yeah, well, there's, how many dollar signs are there connected to that retraction? Total disclosure. I guess I don't have to disclose this, really. They made a movie about Eliot Spitzer, and my sister did the soundtrack for one of the feature song in it. But I mean, just when you thought that this guy couldn't go fall any further, there are no second acts in American lives. You discover otherwise. The guy had a TV show. You bounce back. For some of us, there's second acts in American lives very clearly. But I mean, he's toast. He's been toast, despite the commentator thing. I mean, now I expect to see him boxing Danny Bonaducci next. So I don't. I mean, what is it? When you ain't got nothing, you got nothing to lose. What's he got to lose?
Not much. The last thing that his dad can fire him. That's his fallback. He's got the fallbacks of all rich boys. Is that his dad's got a massive construction empire. He's just about to launch his first development project in New York, and cash in on that. I don't think this is going to hurt him. I mean, it's not like you can being a scumbag is not exclusive to being a real estate magnate in New York City. I mean, there are plenty of handsy, rapey real estate magnates in New York City, and it doesn't stop them. The buildings keep going up. The money keeps being made. The cigars keep being smoked. Just accept your new role. You're a scumbag. Own it.
And the reality of it is, once you say Russian, vast swathes of America kind of go, who knows what happened.
Uh-huh. Yeah, well, you say Ukrainian woman, and all the cynics and wags and sexists in the audience say prostitute.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Who knows what happened?
Yeah, it's an ugly scene. There's a lot of allegedly ugly scene, a lot of ugly speculation going on, a lot of ugly misbehavior.
And I'm doing a lot of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
About 90% of it is me. Rumors say, says Eugene, about the rumors that he's saying. You know.
Sheesh.
Yes.
All right, Lexi's back. Quick,
curveball.
Curveball.
Oh, and we're just gonna have to speculate what the curveball is. You know, the curveball that we didn't get in the show outline was Manny Pacquiao comparing gay people to animals. Eugene, he quickly apologized, said he's still against gay marriage, but that he's read his Bible and that's why. But he didn't mean to denigrate gay and lesbian people. Alexi, now you have no audio. I can see you talking, but I can't hear you. But Eugene, answer.
That's how I go through large portions of life. I see people's lips moving, but I'm not hearing what they're saying. Yeah, mostly because I have a touch of autism. But no, I don't. Maybe to tie it back into the fight world, you remember when Josh Thompson did the same thing, where he compared homosexuality right after he had spent.
Yes, we can hear you now. Now we're talking about Manny Pacquiao. I stole your curveball.
Oh, okay. Go on ahead.
All right, so go ahead, Eugene.
Okay, so Josh Thompson had spent, like, right after the fucking EA kerfuffle with AKA, spent all his time in the wilderness, right? I mean, I don't want to call Strikeforce wilderness, but when you were at the big show, you left the big show for inexplicable reasons, I'm sure quite explicable in the long run, and then you get back, you know, Strikeforce gets bought, I mean, you get back to the big show, and your first official act as Josh Thompson is to go on Facebook with your 5,000 friends and compare homosexuality to bestiality. You know, this is the thing that makes you sorry for the bald one. You're like, Jesus Christ, this guy came pretty close to being kind of an all-American. They dropped the Stanford backstory that had been part of his initial appeal, which was a bullshit lie. But then, you know, the guy's got the big microphone, completely misread the tone and the timbre of the country, where the rest of the country was going, and pops off with, if you followed him on Facebook, which you saw all the time, and you could just see the bald one going, oh, Jesus Christ, what's the and then, of course, he has to back up off of it, and he backs up and goes, I was just trying to spark some debate. You know, I mean, it's like, yeah, me, Hitler, misunderstood? I'm just trying to spark debate. No, come on, man. So Pacquiao, he's at this point a private individual. Well, he's a public figure, private individual. He's retired from his sport. But I'm not his fourth-dimensional version of tweeting and deleting. I'm not buying. I'm not into it. And why do all these religious roads all lead to the same place? These violent, dangerous, dark places. I don't know. You know. I don't see atheists telling people that that people they love, it's like them fucking dogs. There's another way to dehumanize them, but okay.
Unless those people they're talking about are Islamic, in which case Sam Harris is all over that. Yeah. But not quite the same. But yeah, now Pacquiao, I think he's going to get reelected to his congressional seat. I don't know the specifics, but my understanding is it's a rural district. They're very loyal to him. He's coasted in there as a celebrity. I think he just needs to shut up. He already apologized. That's all he has to do. He said something stupid, but something that's not going to offend his voters. That's not going to cost him any money. He's not fighting anymore. Maybe one more fight, but you know, fight fans don't care. Yep. So it's out. All right, Alexi, quick. Next question.
Mitch McConnell. You have an opportunity to get the Scalia replacement. You vowed to reject any nominees prior to the 2016 presidential election, despite ushering in Justice Anthony Kennedy
and we lost him. But you know the rest of the story, Eugene. McConnell has already come out and said, we are not going to approve anybody that Obama nominates. We're going to filibuster the whole year. Has he dug himself a deep hole? Because we're
talking super high level tri-level chess of an order that for the ages. Right now, they're playing a game of chicken to end all games of chicken. You know, I mean, this is his opening gambit. This is not the end, because what these guys are doing are saying shit and then going like this and seeing how it plays. You think if they start if it becomes an issue that starts to affect the electorate and the election and the primaries, you think that this guy is not going to be a guy who's like suddenly, you know, doing some fancy dancing, you know? Nah. This is his opening gambit, and it's a way to kind of guarantee that maybe Obama makes a move that then alienates the Democratic left, makes them flinch, makes them move away from the agency pick, which is Hillary, more toward a Bernie Sanders, putting them on a footing where they could probably compete more effectively come November. I mean, the question, I mean, it's Obama's game at this point. You know, I mean, all he has to do is look at the analytics and see who he could pick. I mean, I can figure that the Republicans have already, given the ascendancy and the staying power of Donald Trump, have already lost the Latino vote. They've already lost the African American vote. You know, it's not like if they elect Srinivasan that the Indian vote is going to be a huge voting bloc in the U.S. So what's the next bet? You know, they got Hillary to balance out the woman thing. You know, I think his best bet is going to be to pick somebody that they've already confirmed, so they can make them out to be the heel-dragging, do-nothing party that they are, and this will affect it. You know, and he doesn't alienate his left. You know, and he puts them on center stage, and we're all just waiting.
What do you think, Nate?
They've screwed themselves, and the thing is, McConnell and the whole Republican caucus are playing to Republican primary voters. They're not thinking about the presidential election. They're not even thinking about the Senate general elections that are coming up, and you've got at least 9 Senate seats that are going to be competitive this cycle. They're not worried about that. Each one of these assholes is thinking about me and my future primary. McConnell just survived a brutal campaign, and these guys are all cowed by the Tea Party and very scared of being attacked from the right in a primary. That's their whole worldview. And so the smart game to play would be, we look forward to evaluating, doing our constitutional duty and putting our input and hearing the president's nominees and having hearings and having a conversation and doing our job and doing the business of government. And then you let Obama nominate somebody, then you drag your feet, you drag out the hearings, you make the hearings as big a shit show as possible. And you try to get your base riled up. Look what these liberals are going to do. We've got to get our presidential candidate. We've got to have a majority in the Senate, or they're going to send us and make us. They're going to vote for these guys and approve these guys. These crazy liberal abortion gay doctors and stuff. And that's not what they're doing. They're boxing it out. They're in the position where Obama's got a guy that they just confirmed 97-0, and he can appoint this guy that Eugene just mentioned. And, of course, I can't say his last name.
Srinivasan.
And now you're in a position of having to go to the mattresses and fight this guy tooth and nail, and everybody's going to go, well, if he's such an asshole and he's not fit for the Supreme Court, why the hell did you vote for him 97-0 to do this job that's one step below the Supreme Court? Like, They put themselves in this impossible position, and we haven't even talked about Ted Cruz yet. By doing this, they've got one guy that's a Senate senator. I'm not going to even count Marco Rubio because he's not even going to show up. But Ted Cruz is going to make himself the face of Republican opposition to this nominee. And these guys hate Ted Cruz. Like, McConnell personally hates Ted Cruz probably more than anybody else on the planet. Yep. And this is the face of the Tea Party that's terrorized these guys. And Ted Cruz, with his government shutdowns that backfired on him, he's already burned them time and time again. Now they've put themselves in a position where they're backing his play. Yep. Do they really want to give Ted Cruz that much publicity, that much attention? Do they want to be having to have his back? It's a really, really dumb thing, and it shows you how the polarized primary electorate really screws with things and puts these guys – because McConnell's not that crazy a right-winger. I mean, he's a conservative, big-money dude, but he's not – he's willing to make compromises and cut deals. He's a creature of D.C., this is not where he wants to be. This is not his natural position. And Obama's going to just toy with these cats.
Yep.
Like, Obama's got nothing to lose. He's sick of their bullshit. He's got the Supreme Court tied 4-4, and the lower courts are mostly Democratic, so he can just you know, cases keep coming to the Supreme Court and don't go anywhere. The rulings of the lower courts stand. Obama's got nothing to lose. And it's just going to help the Democrats and fire them up for the presidential election and these 9 Senate seats. So McConnell has dug himself a deep hole. I know why he did it. It's because of these primary campaigns he's afraid of. It's just that's the difference between a problem and a predicament. A problem you can solve. A predicament, you're screwed.
You're going to get fucked. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, and so that's where McConnell is right now. He's in the proverbial.
And I'm looking far afield on this one. I'm also seeing. I've been all of a sudden I got this sense of Ruth Bader Ginsburg talking about how friendly she was with Scalia, and I'm seeing her like saying, you know, why not? In for a penny, in for a pound. I'm going to resign as well. Give him 2 picks. This will somehow, create cover for this other thing. I mean, the Republicans have fucked themselves on this one, really.
Yeah.
They can't, what is that expression? Can't win for losing.
Oh, and he says, speaking of fucked, and he freezes again, Google is a cruel, cruel mistress. I'm going to go ahead and call Eugene. It's time for the Lost Battalion, a.k.a. Phantom Tollbooth.
Well, he's back. Say it quick. Go ahead.
Phantom Tollbooth, Alexi. And he froze.
All right. Well, we got some major action here, in terms of position players. I'm going to say 2 words, and you're going to know right what I mean. Okay, ready?
Yes.
Chris Weidman.
Lost
right.
Battalion.
Okay, now, okay. You might not see that there's much in common between Chris Weidman and T.J. Dillashaw, but there is. There is.
Excuses and sour grapes.
And there's another one. There's another one up there. Johnny Hendricks. Hendricks.
Hendricks is way deep in the Lost Battalion.
The thing is, the excuse making, the finger pointing, the inability to accept responsibility. These are all the earmarks of a commanding officer of the Lost Battalion. Now, the only strange one there, nobody's thinking that it's strange that Hendricks is there. Nobody's thinking that it's strange that Weidman is there. Weidman is distinguishing himself. He's about to get the Congressional Medal of Lost Battalion honor for the shit. I mean, do you see anybody else from his camp back in his play? You know, these are some of the loudest mouth guys around, Matty, Sarah, and you don't see him back. Ray Longo, they're completely fucking quiet, as he spouts off and goes off. I mean, come on, man. But, the one that I think is set himself up beautifully. He's like gone to West Point for Lost Battalion, and his TJ Dillashaw, Dominic Cruz. His punches are like pillows. Yeah, I guess you're trying to Connor McGee yourself into a rematch, but you got to realize, man, that rematch is your fucking lifeline, because those pillow punches will lose you. You lose you a second time, and then you're gone. You're gone. You're telling anybody about, the trilogy with you and Dominic Cruz, and everybody in attendance, including the ring girls, are like,
Yep.
Nah, son. Nah. Yeah, I mean, and that shit is fucking super painful for those of us with the eyes to see. It's really, I mean, I'm sure you've had friends like that. Like, yeah. I was in a situation like that. Oh, an ex-girlfriend. I know she's coming back to get together with me. And my bass player at the time looked at me. It was like,
I got to dodge the Layla that one.
Yeah, well, I'm not gonna finish it because it's he's like, maybe not. I was like, what do you fucking know? What do you do? Yeah, you know what? That's the thing. Everybody knows. You're the only one who does it. Lost Battalion, baby. 3 entrants. Fuck it. I'm putting DJ Dillashaw in there because he's not squaring himself with reality well, and that's the prime requisite.
Yeah, and now we briefly got Alexi or not?
I'm going to let you finish.
You're finished. You finish us. Talk us out.
Thanks for joining us. Give us a thumbs up. Follow us on Twitter,
we lost him again. Follow on Twitter @KidNate, @Eugene S. Robinson, @Alexi Auld. Remember, it's Google's world. You're just trying to connect on it. So we're at the mercy of dark forces here. Read me on bloodyelbow.com. Check out Alexi on Amazon.com. Read Eugene at Ozzy.com. Sometimes
I got a piece today up about Plato's Retreat, baby.
I heard you're always reliving the 70s. I got to say.
Hey, that's my specialty. But you know, I left the best story out of the piece, which I'll give the exclusive here to Bloody Elbow. Larry Levinson, the guy who ran, he was a former McDonald's manager, goes to managing this huge sex club. How does that happen?
This
right?
is a big mainstream club in New York City that was a swing club on site. You could go there and fuck strangers.
Limos were lining up around the block, the whole thing. Celebrities were going there. So Larry Levinson, who, you know, ran the place, from McDonald's to managing this place, clearly there was some sort of mob involvement, shows up for work one day in a wheelchair with his legs in a cast.
Man.
Right? So when you're business partners of the mob, sometimes your performance review goes thusly, right? So he shows up, and he got to the hospital. They put the thing on. He's in a wheelchair. You know, they had a catheter, something for him to piss in. And he goes to a friend of his with a skill saw and says, "Hey, buddy, could you help me out?" Now, the guy who wrote the book about the stories of Times Square, Josh Allen Friedman, is telling me this story. He goes, so his buddy with the skill saw cuts a cock hole for him, right?
Oh.
And I'm telling this story in the office, and all the women in the office look at me like, why would he do that if he already had a catheter? I was like, hey, baby, the guy runs a sex club. He's like, I'm in a wheelchair with 2 legs in a cast, but I'm not stopping. Fuck it. So they cut a little hole for his penis, and, you know, the women would sit on top of him. Back in business. You know, that's the kind of spirit that made America great.
I can't imagine letting anybody near my precious jewels with a skill saw, even through a cast. Like, that is cool.
That's what I'm saying, man. That dude was committed.
Yeah, you got to make hay while the sun shines. I mean, you're not going to be running Plato's Retreat forever, because maybe he knew HIV was coming down the pipe and it was all going to come.
That's ultimately what got the club closed, and then Larry himself died a few years ago. But yeah.
Well, what a contribution you made.
18 loads a day. He had mob money from Jersey coming in on his 18 loads a day.
Wow. Well,
and I didn't believe him, and just to show that he was like, his heart was in the right place, he said, before we begin this load challenge, I'm going to masturbate once just to show you what a good guy I am. So it was technically 19 loads in a day. Try that on for size.
Good, man. That's a good way to keep your heart healthy and your prostate.
And strangely enough, I think that's what he died from, some heart ailment.
Oh, well, it happens to the best and worst of us. So I think that's all our plugs. Subscribe to MMANation.com on YouTube. Subscribe to MMA Nation on iTunes. And we'll be back next week, hopefully with fewer technical difficulties, because I doubt there's going to be another snowstorm in Brooklyn that will take out Alexi. We'll be back tomorrow, Eugene and I, for the Care Don't Care preview, both for Bellator and the UFC Fight Night Cerrone versus Oliveira thing. So we'll be talking about Hoist and Ken and Kimbo and Dada, the whole package tomorrow. They'll have the vivisections, the prospectus, all the usual fixings. Eugene will be back on Sunday with Knuckle Up. We'll be back next week with another If I Did It. We don't know what we're talking about yet, because the mistakes have yet to be made. So, adios, MMA aficionados. We'll see you next time.
Later, man.